Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Yeah,
Mr. Chappie.
Eve of Christmas Eve.
Good morning, Ken, Chris.
Good morning. Today is the anniversary of George Washington's surrender of his commission as Commander-in-Chief to the Congress meeting in Annapolis.
All right, Mr. Shepro, we're going to try to get this meeting started in the absence of Vern Tepe. Brown is going to take the chair today. And so if I could get the clerk to call the meeting, call the roll. She is remote. Savannah, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Copey,
Copey's present.
Brown,
Brown here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Lewis,
Lewis here.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
Surges,
Surge is here.
Tepe.
Happy here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item is item number 2, which is the approval of the minutes for November 17th, 2021. Does anybody have any comments or questions for the minutes?
Shepro moves to approve.
Leonard seconds.
Okay, is that by unanimous consent, Mr. Shepro?
Yes.
All right, does anybody have an issue? Great, we'll move on then to item number 3, which is public comments. Do we have anybody from the public online or in person? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is finance. We've got the financial reports attached. Anybody have any questions for the financial reports? Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, the recorder's office. The gentleman was here from the recorder's office. He couldn't stay. The report is attached as well. Does anybody have any questions on that? He did make one comment that they're just as busy as they've ever been over there, so that's a good thing. All right, we're going to move then to item number 6, treasurer.
Good morning.
Morning.
The report is on file. I do have 2 things to add. Number 1, senior deferrals will go out early January. And secondly, we have made a hire to replace our customer service manager after Gary's untimely passing a number of months ago. We had a great number of good candidates apply. We have hired Cindy, who for the last 8 years has been the deputy assessor at Hanover Township. So we feel that she has the background and experience and customer service tools to come in and help our office. So she'll be starting in early January also.
Good.
And that's all.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Kilborn? Okay, we'll move on then to Supervisor of Assessments.
Good morning, members of the committee. First of all, thank you for welcoming me back here in person. I was remote for a couple of months, attending both some personal duties and some professional duties, but happy to be back here home for Christmas, as it will. So in my report on page 28 of your packet, you can see some information that was requested last month regarding a breakdown of Class 40 properties and property taxes. If you notice in that chart, we have Class 40 parcels. These will be 1 to 6 family parcels, and then other taxable parcels in the county. So we have all the information. We have 189,000 taxable parcels. 155,000 of those would be Class 40. That means almost 82% of our parcels are those 1 to 6 family homes, and the overwhelming majority of those are going to be single family dwellings. They have a collective assessed value of $13 billion, and that's out of a tax base of about $17 billion. So it's about 76% overall of the tax base, of the assessment base at least. But if you notice the last column there is taxable value, that's where we have to take out the reductions for one program or another in the property tax code before the tax rate is applied. And you can see those Class 40 values have an assessed value of 13 billion, and then that drops to about 11.8 billion once exemptions are applied. So those exemptions can range from the general homestead exemption. That's $783 million of reduction. Senior exemption, that's what seniors get just for being over 65. Another 172 million is lost there. Senior freeze for low-income seniors, that's $146 million. Veterans with disabilities, about $97 million. Homestead improvements, that would be new additions to homestead properties, down to about $28 million. Persons with disabilities, a reduction of about $4 million. Model homes, that's a special tax break for developers. That's about $3.7 million. Returning veterans, that's in the first 2 years you return from active service if you own a house in the county. Only $55,000 lost for those 11 properties. And that simply reflects the small amount of overlap to people in active service who actually own homes in Kane County. The overall tax benefit result from that using a 9% tax rate, which is the countywide median. General homestead exemption saves about $542. The senior exemption, which would be on top of the general, on average, $456. So you're now looking at about $1,000 saving just for being a senior. Low-income seniors, on average, another $1,400. Disabled veterans, about $6,000. Homestead improvement exemption saves around $400. Persons with disability, that saves about $180. The biggest per property reduction is to model homes, the one for builders. They save on average $12,752 per property. Returning veterans save about $450 per property. With that, I know Mr. Copey is online, and I know he was one who originally requested that information. I did send this out, the general chart, out last week, and asked for any questions in advance so I could prepare. I did not get any response from that, but if there are any additional questions now, I'd be happy to address them.
Does anybody have any questions?
Copy, please.
Mr. Copey?
Hi, thank you. So that last list that you read off, would you consider that negligible compared to the base of the Class 40?
No, I would not consider it negligible. I would consider it significant.
What percentage would you consider that to be?
Well, let me pull out my calculator and do the math here. But it would be, the total loss would be if you go to the $17 billion of tax base. Sorry, I'm hearing
I'm
myself.
hearing an echo.
back. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, good. We're good again. So you go to $17 billion in tax base, you see we reduce it by about $1.5 billion. Oh, that's all, that's around, yeah, 6%. Somebody did the math before I could do it. So what that does mean is the tax, now I'm echoing again. So what that does mean is that that tax rates are going to be higher because of those reductions. And the people who get the reductions, everyone else pays more to account for those. It is a net neutral to local government, meaning the local governments do not get more money and do not lose more money because of the presence or absence of those reductions. Those decisions, by the way, are not made by either me or you. They're made in Springfield.
Any other questions,
Thank you
Mr.
very-
Copey?
No, thank you very much. That was very informative, and that was about what I was looking for, and I appreciate your effort.
You're very welcome.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, Mark, I think you have a resolution as well.
Yes, this is the annual resolution regarding salaries for the county's financial policies. Any salary changes must be approved by the committee to which the report is made. I note in passing that what this salary resolution allows us to do is to also change the reimbursement from the state of Illinois. So long as I do my job, the state of Illinois reimburses Kane County 50% of the salary. And so by adopting this resolution, it also maximizes the revenue, which was also built into the budget.
Any questions on the resolution?
Shepro moves.
Leonard seconds.
Motion by Shepro, second by Leonard. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Copey,
Copy, yes.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion's passed. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is item 8, Regional Office of Education. Do we have anybody here or online for the Regional Office of Education? Hearing none, we'll move on then to the next item, which is County Clerk. Right?
Good morning. You have a copy of our report. Just wanted to highlight a few things as we're hitting the end of the fiscal year. We reached our revenue expectations. You can see at this point, there's still a few things that come in before the books close, but we're over 1.5 million this year. We were expecting a little bit less because of mitigations and COVID, but we exceeded last year by over 200,000. Marriage licenses, passports were up as more people are getting married and traveling. And if you look towards the bottom, that 1.2 million was returned to the general fund. So thanks to the work that our staff does and people coming in the office, it's money that goes back to the general fund to help pay for what our office does. December is usually a very busy time in the clerk's office. As Mr. Armstrong would say, we start the process for tax extension. So this is the time of year that all the taxing bodies are filing their levies, which starts that process. Usually a lot of holiday marriages, people trying to get last minute passports. We should have new copies of the local government guides out for you. We've had some printing snags, but we should have that for you in the next little bit. So it's the end of the year, but it's a busy time. Otherwise, that's our report. If you have any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Shepro? I'm sorry, Mr. Surges.
Just two things. One is personal. I had to fill out some forms the other day asking for my social security card, which I couldn't locate. But the group asking for it said, your passport will work fine. And I said, that I have. While looking at my passport, it said it doesn't renew. It renews this coming June. I wouldn't even know where to renew it. Are you, I didn't realize the clerk's office has something to do with it.
Can't hear you, Cliff.
How about now?
That works.
Okay.
Come on over after the meeting.
Oh, so, okay, so you guys do it.
We're a passport acceptance office, so we help people. Usually we do a lot more in terms of getting the passport the first time.
Okay.
But if you need some assistance in renewal, come on over.
Super. And then second thing, I
You
do.
don't take the picture though, do you, Brian?
I'm sorry?
He has to bring his own picture.
We'll do this offline. Yes. Thank you.
One thing I will say is that the time, because of
That's my question.
issues, it's taking longer on their end. So do it as soon as possible.
Got it. Perfect. It's my concealed carry card just came in last week that I renewed last February. So, I mean, that's was my concern. Second thing, I am still struggling with the mail-in ballot process, the ballot tracks outsourced people, and I would like to set a meeting to try and understand that a little bit better. If everything has settled down a bit, but it doesn't sound like it has for you guys. Is January a good month to maybe do that?
You're always welcome to the clerk's office. There's never a time where it's settled because of the functions that the office has, but you're always welcome and come on over.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other
Shepro?
questions? Mr. Shepro?
Yes, Chairman Tempe asked if I could comment on the status of the precinct division that we are required to do. I guess I can do that. I didn't know if Mr. Pollack wanted to give us an update from their perspective. If not, I can certainly tell you what I know and what Mr. Tempe knows.
Yes, Ms. Shepro, John Duggan. I'm helping Brian and
Yes, John.
Jack on that. The process cannot be, well, the mapping of the precinct divisions can be done on a timely basis. However, the problem is that the data entry to make all of the addresses in the database is a very arduous and long-term process, and it would take several months. So our concern is that if the division is made and the data is not conformed to it, that the various campaigns getting that data will not be able to use it to its full extent to enable to circulate their petitions in a compressed period. So we feel that we have additional discussions that's going to have to be conducted about the practicalities of, what priority should be affected, because it's just not physically possible to do the division and all the data entry necessary for the candidates to get accurate information that would be assisting to them in doing their circulations and their petitions. Also, the petition challenges would be quite arduous, almost impossible, if that data wasn't conformed at the start of the campaign when the circulation is conducted. So that's a practical problem. And what we felt would be the most practical solution would be to divide the largest precincts, and that could be accomplished, by the next board meeting, but it wouldn't necessarily make them exactly the same or make them as practical as they could be. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that does it. David,
So-
do you have anything to add? Is that handle? Okay.
Yeah, if Shepro, if I could elaborate on that briefly, emphasis on the briefly. As I understand it, I have seen a proposed division of 4 existing precincts, which happen to be the 4 precincts that have more than 3,000 registered voters. And the proposed division of those 4 would result in, I believe, 12 additional new precincts, which would push us to 303. the General Assembly in a late fall amended the election code with respect to precinct division. It raised the threshold for a required division from 800 to 1,200. But it also imposed a 60-day deadline from the effective date of the act for the county boards to accomplish that task. I believe that if you take the statute literally, it could require Kane County to create anywhere from 90 to over 100 new precincts. And the deadline to accomplish that would essentially be around January 11th or 12th. The amendment to the primary date, I believe January 13th is the first day to circulate under that amended statute. And I would encourage Brian or John to jump in if I'm saying anything that's inaccurate.
The date is correct, January
Yeah.
13th.
So that is a problem. I think I've talked to Roger, Vernon and I talked to Roger, Madam Chair, and our belief is that working as hard as they can, it could take at least 4 to 5 hours to do one precinct in the clerk's office. And as Mr. Duggan alluded to, it's not just a matter of getting out a magic marker and drawing a line. Once you've decided where you're going to do that, there is all sorts of detail that needs to be imported so that the clerk's office, the candidates, and the people signing petitions know where they are and what petitions to sign. So, as I say, it looked like we were going to have a special meeting to consider, which the board has to approve, the precinct divisions. The 4 that were being divided, in the last 48 hours, there's been a suggestion from the state's attorney's office and other sources that possibly that would be expanded to an additional 20 precincts being divided, which would be based on every precinct with more than 2,000 registered voters. The state's attorney has contacted a number of us with some cases that they believe apparently requires a more detailed and comprehensive division. Those of us who think we know something, plus the clerk's office who does know something, I think are studying it. I don't know that there's agreement that what they're suggesting is required. And in any case, I would share the view that if we are required to split all of them, it is literally an impossible task to accomplish by January 13th. So at this point, my understanding is Madam Chair had intended to call a special meeting of the board on January 7th for the purpose of approving the division of the precincts. But at that point, it was the division of the 4 precincts. So that's sort of what I know. I think there's been some attempt to point out to the legislature that their different statutes have created a very difficult situation. Our attention's been called to an old case from downstate that, if applied literally to the situation, could result in some problems. So we're, I think, all attempting to work on that. We spoke with Clark Cunningham yesterday, who indicated obviously that his office would do everything they could to follow the law. But at this point, I think we are still in doubt as to whether there's going to be a requirement to split additional precincts. And this is all without regard to the cost or need to get additional judges, potentially polling places, voter cards, etc. That's all over and above what's been, discussed about the requirement to make a division. So I'm not sure that gave anybody any definitive answers, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I'd ask the clerk office if they have anything to add or subtract from what I said.
I think that states the dilemma that's been created. And the concern we have is that, drawing lines on a map is not impossible to do by January 14th, but rectifying the database is impossible to do, and it creates a terrible burden on candidates. We believe that the polling places are election administration. They're not the same as the reapportionment that's conducted for a congressional or a county board district, where they actually make substantial impact on a particular election. These are intended to make elections more feasible. And with the large increase in mail-in votes, the concern of the number of people at a precinct is less because they're handling less election day votes. So, we have now vote centers, early voting and mail-in voting, and all of those diminish the burden of having the precincts. However, each precinct is a significant expenditure of capital and personnel at each election. And so we're trying to maintain the cost of the process as well as, the security and the authenticity of the process, which is of paramount importance.
Tepe here.
Mr. Tepe?
John, what happens if we don't get this division done? Are we stuck with this allocation for 10 years?
I don't believe so. That particular conclusion, I don't think follows, because each county has an ongoing responsibility to try to equalize and prevent excessive voters in a precinct that would cause, a burden on election day. In other words, people standing in line at 9 o'clock at night waiting to vote. That's something we have always avoided and we have never encountered in this county. But it is encountered in other counties that have extra large precincts. So we are aware of the statute, and we have to make a choice between two impossibilities. It's possible to do the division. It's impossible to rectify the data as of the start of the circulation period. And it would be very difficult, to adjudicate petition challenges without that data corresponding with the districts correctly. So, just to change the map that would cause terrible problems, I think, in this next election, because the candidates would be working with incomplete data for their circulations.
And the statute says that each June, the county board has the opportunity to redivide its precincts.
Shepro comment. The
Shepro.
case that was presented to us is an old case from downstate from 1982 that relied in part on a case from 1898. As far as I know, and some quick follow-up, it's never been cited or followed by anybody since then. And while the courts often will say, we have to follow the law, if you don't like it, go to the legislature, I think it's also true that the courts recognize that if something literally cannot be done because the statutes are contradictory, they will not participate or order an absurd result. The case itself ignores, in my opinion, the point that Mr. Pollack just mentioned about the annual duty and seemed to focus on you had to do it once every 10 years and you had to do everything then. I just don't think, as you say, no other courts filed it. No one else has brought a lawsuit alleging it. And it's not even really clear from the statute that there is a specific remedy if you don't do what it says you're supposed to do. So again, the notion that we should drop everything and try to do a task, which I think is possibly or even likely physically impossible, you know, obviously we have to come to some conclusion about it. But I think everything that Mr. Pollack and Mr. Duggan says is accurate. And well, I guess that's it. We're all studying it, and obviously there is going to be some special meeting apparently to submit to you whatever has already been done, which legally needs to be approved by the board. And I think we're thinking we didn't want to wait till the board meeting because it's only 2 days before circulation of petitions.
So could I ask, this is Brown speaking, could I ask then what, I've heard a lot of what the issues are and what the complications, but what is the next step in this process then?
Well, Madam Chair, if I might, last night, after we had talked with Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Tepe was consulted as well, tentatively, we asked IT to take a look at what the division of these 20 additional precincts, so we don't lose any time if the decision is to go ahead with those. But that's the immediate next step. I think the almost immediate next step is for our legal advisors to advise us as to whether we really are obligated to do that, or if there is another better and legal alternative. And I think we're waiting for some feedback, both from the state's attorney, we've asked some follow-up questions, and from the clerk's office, and possibly from the General Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. We do have an assistant state's attorney here, so she has a comment for us.
Yes, I just want to clarify the state's attorney's position.
Could you give us your name?
Oh,
just
I'm
for the
sorry.
record?
Assistant State's Attorney Don Troost. So our office's position is not that the precincts can't be split after this year. It's that the boundaries can't be changed. So the boundaries of each precinct are supposed to be within so they're not supposed to be in like 2 county board districts. So you're supposed to realign them every 10 years when you do reapportionment, so that no precinct is in 2, so that every precinct is in 1 county district. Every year you can split precincts that go over the new 1,200 person limit. So that can be done next year, but it's the boundaries that every 10 years, and you can't change those boundaries except for after the decennial census, because that's when reapportionment takes place. So just a clarification, we believe the law allows you to split precincts every year in June, as was mentioned. The law allows that.
Shepro again.
Mr.
If
Shepro.
that is, and I'm not saying it's not correct, but if that is in fact the conclusion, then splitting these 20 additional precincts is only a tiny bite out of the problem. I don't have the list in front of me, but we were furnished a list from the county clerk's office. And I believe that there are many dozens of precincts that overlap different county board districts. And so now the problem is not, can we do 20 more? We could conceivably be doing 40, 50, 80 more. And the problem becomes even more acute in getting that done. And I don't know if the clerk's office has that list, but for example, one of the precincts that was not going to be split under the top 20 formula, I believe is in 4 different county board districts. And there are others that are in as many as 3 as well. So it becomes an immense immediate task, as opposed to if we were able to say, we will split them, but we don't have to do it till June, or we don't have to do all of them.
Tepe here.
I'm sorry, the
Yep.
state's attorney's got a comment to follow up on this.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So there is an AG opinion from quite a while ago, and the remedy, if a precinct isn't split, or if it violates the 1,200 limit now, well, back then it was 800, that the remedy is to divide that precinct the following year. And I know there's been talk of costs, and I understand those are always a concern, but as the statute is written, it's a shall divide the 1,200. And, you know, the fact that there is more mail-in voting, unfortunately, the statute doesn't allow you to take that into account. I'm assuming that's why the legislature increased the number from 800 to 1,200 to take that into account. But the cost and the mail-in voting, those aren't factors that the statute allows to be taken into consideration. If it's over 1,200, it shall be divided.
Mr. Tepe?
Yeah, thank you, Tepe here. I don't think we're going to be able to resolve anything here. And I think the impressive thing is we're all really working together on this. There's nobody at odds. We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. But again, I don't think we're going to decide that now. So I'd like to suggest that we take this offline and continue to work. The key people involved in all of this continue to work together and hopefully have a resolution by the special board meeting that will most probably be called by Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tepe. You're actually reading my mind, because I was going to ask you if that would be okay if we took it offline and let you and the others work on this.
Yeah, Shepro concurs with that suggestion.
Okay, any other comments on this issue? Hearing none, we'll move on then to item number 10, which is other business. Do we have any other business, Mr. Tepe?
Not to my knowledge, thank you.
Okay. Item 11 is executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of reviewing and possibly releasing the closed session minutes.
Shepro so moves.
Motion by Leonard, second by Shepro. Roll call, please.
Hey, everybody online, this is Kelly again. Please accept your invite to go into the closed session.
Kelly, we need to get a
Roll call first.
yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Kopi, Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Okay, we're going to be going into closed session.
One moment, everybody.
something.
You ready? Okay, we are back in open session. I need a roll call
Brown,
here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Lewis,
Lewis here.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
Surges,
Burgess here.
Copy,
Hope is here.
Tepe.
Happy here.
Mr. Chairman, Shepro.
Mr. Shepro.
Mr. Chairman, having the committee having considered and conducted its semi-annual review of the closed meeting minutes, I would move that we approve the release of the minutes of, and I forgot the date, April, I think it was April
22nd,
20.
1st or 22nd. April 21.
State's attorney's coming back up to the podium.
Okay.
Just to clarify, the recommendation was not to release the minutes.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, I thought we were releasing that one date.
What was the date of the minutes?
So the recommendation was to not release the date of the April 22nd,
Oh, okay.
2021.
All right, let me start again. That previous statement is inoperative. I would move that having conducted a review of the closed meeting minutes, that this committee determines that a need for confidentiality still exists with respect to all of the currently closed minutes, and therefore that there would be no additional release of minutes at this time.
Very good.
Leonard seconds.
Motion by Shepro, second by Leonard. Roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Copy,
Hope, yes.
Tepe.
Happy yes.
Motion's passed. Next item is the reports to be placed on file. Can I get a motion?
Ask unanimous consent to place on reports on file, Mr. Chairman. Shepro.
Thank you, Mr. Shepro. I hear no objection. Reports will be placed on file. Next item is item number 14, which is adjournment. Get a motion to adjourn.
Leonard moves.
Shepro seconds.
Motion by Leonard, second by Shepro. Believe we do an roll call.
Voice.
Sure, voice vote.
Voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody, and have a great holiday season, and my apologies for not being able to be there.
No problem. Have a good Christmas. Bye-bye, guys.